my end. Okay, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Injury Time. I'm Naveen. I'm making a comeback after a very long time because I was quite busy with a lot of other things. But people on the panel, like you can see, have been regular, talking to very many people, very many stakeholders in Indian football over the past few months. But now we are back because the new season is upon us. Duran Cup was done with a few weeks back, and the Indian national team, the men's team, was in action over the past few days, playing two friendly matches. And before we get down to ISL, we thought, why not get together, talk about everything that's happened, and then look at what ISL has to offer. So that is the agenda for the day, and I'm joined by regular guests, people who are very familiar on this platform. First of all, Breshmina, Orko, Sandeep. Guys, welcome to Injury Time. As if you ever need a welcome on the show, this is your show. You're the ones who make it what it is. Let's begin. Not waiting much of a time because most of us are really hungry, right? First up, Orko, coming to you. Yes, the national team, the men's national team, was in action, two matches. And remember, this is the build-up preparation to the Asian Cup next year. We don't know where it will be held, but it will be during that June-July window. So quite some time for Igor Stimas to plan out his way up to go about with the team. But first impressions of this team that could probably end up playing that Asian Cup under Stimas. What did you make of it over the course of two matches that it played?
I think definitely some things to ponder about. Um, I mean I mean what happened today was expected. Uh, I caught some glimpse of the match, couldn't watch it fully, but I mean from what I saw that Vietnam were keeping the ball much better, right? And this is something we have to learn how to do: build up from the back, like just keep the ball better. Uh, I saw Vietnam pull off some amazing moves, starting from the keeper, all the way from the keeper to the other end. That's it seems like a pipe dream. Although it shouldn't be in 2022. I mean, we should at least attempt to do it. But I think tonight was just another jarring reality check for people who keep posting World Cup 2026 dreams on Twitter. I mean, it's just another one of those days, and this is expected. It could have been much worse also. Like we say with a lot of Indian football team losses, we say this. This is also nothing new. I have run out of anything new to say, honestly. Like I can only talk about the three goals today, which we will
Right.
get to in due time.
Yes, we
But
will get to it in a while. But
yeah,
apart, but Abby, you seem to have quite a bit of fun with Orko going. Orko having no words to describe what he saw on the telly. What about you? How did you look at these matches? Yes, like Orko mentioned, on social media we saw a lot of chatter. People were disappointed, but if you are to ask me, we shouldn't be because this is where we are, and this is where our levels actually lie, and that is exactly what we saw where your team doesn't play at all for a very long time. Your season is pretty short. Players are not match fit. They might be fit, but they're not match fit. And they had what, one or two training session before this competition, and you're just thrown into the lines, then expected to just get out of it unscratched. But that doesn't happen, right?
No, of course it doesn't. And plus, I mean, I just to continue with what Orko also mentioned, Vietnam is far more superior. At least for today's match, Vietnam is definitely superior to us, and it wasn't an unexpected result at all. I I would still say that a few decisions again from Stimach were probably wrong to begin with, but in terms of the lineup that he started with and everything. But other than that, I think we kind of expected it. Our center backs are so uh, how do I say it? Are so uncomfortable with the ball per se. To handle it for a long period of time under pressure. They're so uncomfortable with that you're bound to be under pressure almost all the time because of that, especially if your opponent is keeping the ball so well. So it was pretty much that story for the entire game, I felt.
All right. Sandeep, this takes me back to like I always do. I compare it to the previous regime that was under Stephen Constantine. Again, back then we played a lot of teams that were far more superior to what India is. But back then we saw Constantine stick to a certain policy, play to the strengths of the player that he had at his disposal, and somewhere down the line he tried to nick out a result here or there. But this time around, is that what you're seeing with this team, or are you seeing something else?
What do you mean? What am I seeing?
No, the thing is, are we playing to the strengths of the players that we have?
Oh
Because
no, no. No,
That's
of course not.
What
But
strengths do the players have?
like,
Question.
look, I'll tell you what strength, because I recently had a long conversation with a former player and he was telling me the same. He said Indian players are great in these filler roles or these hard-working roles. Like he was talking about ISL teams at that time, so we can transfer that into the national team where essentially we are very good at running and chasing and sort of following orders that the coach says. We are very good at all these things. Very coachable bunch of people from what I am given to understand. But to be fair, we did not expect India to play in the manner that they used to play in the under the previous coach, because the mandate is, or whatever we have seen in the last few years, is enough evidence that we are trying to do something which we probably are not very good at doing, but it is what it is. But I will say this though, a few points I wanted to make here was, I think um, the goals that came. Make no mistakes about this, right? Vietnam was a far superior side. Singapore was also a good side. We were okay against Singapore, but Vietnam we were much further down the line. And we considered the goals because we made some really silly mistakes. There was one confusion between centre back and the goalie. The second goal was again a mistake from a centre back. So we are making these kind of mistakes which can be avoided. Not to say that if we avoided those mistakes, we would have drawn the game or anything. Probably they would have scored in some other manner. That's essentially what would have happened. And Udanta probably needs a break. He's, I mean, that's a nice way for me to say it, but he really is out of form. He needs to probably go back and figure out, play some games and get that confidence back in. That's something that we have to look at. And
Jerry
I
Mom,
also,
Jerry
honestly,
is
I think.
probably Jerry's probably breaking his PlayStation as we speak. Jerry Momin Thala is probably breaking his PlayStation, at home.
And I think there
Yeah.
was only like a very short period when we probably saw something of Udanta, like in the sense of how he was playing and all. It was like a very short period where there was a bit of spark, but then he went back to being how he was,
So you're saying you saw
So
flashes of the Flash.
yeah.
that's the only way you can see the flash.
That's only you can see the Flash.
But and nevertheless, coming back to the game, right? 10 years ago, give or take, we beat Vietnam. 10 years on, they are handsomely beating us. And now the people who say we are naysayers will say it's a one-not result, but no, go check
It's
their
it's
performance
not a
in
one-out
Asian
result.
games. Asian Cup last time they went into the qualifiers. This time, final round of the World
Yeah.
Cup qualifying, they are improving, and we have at best sort of drifted where we are. So everybody who's been around has
We're just taking a
gone up.
step towards the side. No front, no back. Just
Yeah, when
go
people are
back to the
coming, we
side.
just move to the side and said, "Please move
Please
on.
go.
We are not going." It's like the opposite of what we see on the road. No, when we are walking, people will be standing in the middle and blocking us. We have just stepped aside and said, "Please carry on. You have these, more important things to do and stuff like that." And that's what this essentially happened here with Vietnam. And someone asked me when I said they are the next level to us. They are the next level because they are in the ASEAN group, which is the next weakest group is not the right way to say it, but
Yeah.
the next least strong group that we can possibly think of beating teams in.
Yeah.
So they are the next level, but they are in the next level ka top
No,
mein.
no.
They
But
are the
he'll still,
strongest of the ASEAN
but we'll
nations.
still want to have friendlies in Europe instead of playing these teams.
हाँ.
First,
यूरोप की छुट्टियां अच्छी होती है बॉलीवुड has showed
Exposure
us
to it.
very pretty well.
this is one last thing that I have to say. We didn't get much time in camp. I
Yeah.
agree, right? I agree. But you cannot go to every single match and the previous day and put out releases and say that our team is not fit, they are fit because they are in the middle of the season. Our players were playing in the preseason games. They were a couple of them were playing even before that for AFC Cup or whatever. So I can't take this anymore. You just if you're not fit, then deal with it because we can't really do anything about it. We can't just keep saying that we are not fit. They are in the middle of the season. Every time we play, others are in the middle of the season. We have no season. What is this, man? At some point, we have to stop saying this. No?
That I think that in itself is like shows
Yeah, that
that
paints a very good picture.
how short our season is. No, every time we are off
Bloody
season.
rainy season lasts longer than the football season in
Ah,
India.
Delhi's 3 days of incessant rain was longer.
Okay, Arko, go on.
So I've read this argument that Sandeep has mentioned, this camp wall argument, right? So I'll take you back to a conversation I had with Steve Cooper who was the winning coach of the Under 17 World Cup in India, and who is now the manager of Nottingham Forest in the
Correct.
Premier League, right? So he said, and obviously we're comparing apples to oranges here. He said we didn't have a long camp because somebody obviously asked him. Somebody in the Indian media asked him how long the camp was, and he said the boys met up at the airport, right? So obviously there are two parts to it. They've
Yeah.
been playing regular football, right? But they also exactly know what their roles are in the
True.
team, right? When they come together, they don't. The best teams in the world, we are not there. I agree, but this is a malaise of scene across our age group squads also. We have to keep them together for 1 year to build cohesion. No, we have to work on decision making,
Yeah.
right? Why is the decision making so bad, right? So it cannot just come from 1 week of camp or 1 month of camp. I honestly feel that, right? It cannot happen. Obviously the season has to be longer. They'll get better, but this is something that is years in the making. Like Abreshmina said, some people in the back line, right, and including the keeper, are behaving like as a bomb has come and fall. Bomb
Yeah.
aaya hai, run
Yeah.
away from the ball, right? Why are we doing this? When you don't have the ball, you spend more energy chasing it time and again. You keep chasing it. You're on your toes because you're just shit scared. You don't know when you're going to get attacked, right? Because you don't have the ball, right? Your mental energy also gets drained. Where are they going to move with the ball next, right?
But Orko, just a question here. We are talking about players who regularly play in the ISL, right? Okay, the season is short. If that is the situation with players who regularly play in the ISL, I wonder how bad the situation is when you go down the pecking order.
Maybe two teams, maybe three teams at the best try to keep the ball in the ISL, right? Um, I'm not saying the other style isn't good, right? But then there has to be a definitive
Yeah.
outcome, or there has to be a definitive metric or the strategy, right? You can't do half and half,
Yeah.
right? Constantine never did half and half. I'm again we don't know how Constantine played the East Bengal because he has foreigners, right?
True.
I understand he played to a strength of the team. I understand. I also credit Stimac for trying to do something in
Yeah.
direction, but it's clearly like we aren't that team,
True.
right? So
Very true.
what do we do? Sacking Stimac is not the answer. Let
Like
me
I
be
don't
very
think
clear.
right now sacking him or not
It's
extending
not
his
the
contract.
answer.
He should
Hey,
stay.
I don't even bring this axe the match thing. Okay,
It's
Yeah,
not the
that
I
doesn't
answer.
make
know.
any
Doesn't
difference.
make any sense. Like he has to stay till the Asian Cup. But
Yeah.
since we spoke about age group, just an update here. The under 17 team is busy with the qualifiers. They beat Oman today 3-1 earlier in the day. So just an update there. But there's a question coming in from Shubham who wants to take this one. Just one
Before
thing.
that,
Why
can
are
I just say that Ashu
okay?
is
Before that,
absolutely correct in the fact that Changte, who
I was
was
about to
in
come to that after
form,
the question.
yeah, never didn't really get a look in or enough look in, I should say.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to add to that, or do I go to the next question?
No, I had
Brandon
also had this one
Fernandez.
thing I wanted to say to
Go on.
Brandon
Appu.
Fernandez misused by so many managers,
Hmm.
right? I cannot believe what has happened to India's best ball player. I cannot
Yeah,
believe how
he's the
how
best midfielder we have. Yes.
best ball player. Period.
Yeah.
Forward
I have to
midfielder.
say this also.
Defend.
Earlier, when Orko was talking about the whole thing, I don't think maybe you remember Naveen. You remember Carlos Queiroz in Bangalore?
Yeah.
So that time,
How can I not remember the Iranian team? I
yeah,
went mad behind them.
so that time after the game, we were sort of talking to him. We cornered him in
Yeah,
some
yeah.
side,
And it
and
was raining.
yeah, it was raining. He couldn't leave, so we just caught him. And that time, I think he said either there's only two ways to improve football: either the clubs produce player for the national
Yeah,
team, or the national team produces player and gives to the clubs.
correct.
Either way is fine, but you have to pick one lane. And so far, what we've seen is that we have really not picked any lane, and we are just sort of hovering around
Well,
wherever
we are
we.
sailing with both our feet in like with our feet in either of the boats. Eventually, just doomed is what I can say. But there was one question before we move on. Like Shubham wanted to ask this. Like just one thing: why are our players so weak physically? I know they are technically far better, but our
No,
players can't
no,
compete. No, are they first? Are they technically better?
no,
Number
no,
two,
No, no.
Vietnam was
no.
not is not a physical team. Singapore is
No,
not a physical team.
no, I think when he said they he meant Vietnam.
I
Do they? Does he?
Vietnam is technically far better, but our players can't compete with
Oh,
them
like
even
that.
physically.
Huh.
No, that's a mental block. It's not like the Indian players are physically weak. Okay, Like that's absolutely like
Hmm.
nowhere close to being true. That they are physically weak. It's sort of just that when you're ek to when the match goes on, right, then you start losing energy because you, like Orko mentioned, you're constantly chasing the ball. So when that happens, no, then you sort of lose direction a lot of times, and that is when you are pushed away very easily. In that sense, what we see as looking like very easily, it's more of how the player's body is already responding, not
True.
what has happened against the opposition. So that is one factor, and the other factor is that we sometimes know when we are scared that we are not going to get the ball back, then we try and just push our body in front and see if we can get a foul so that the movement gets broken. So either we foul or we try and get a foul. So I mean, these are two factors I feel that plays a lot of part. They're not weak physically at all.
So Sunil Chetri busted this myth back in 20 at the 2016 ISL draft. Someone asked him the same question: Are Indian players physically weak? He said, "We have a guy on our team called Raulson Rodriguez. Some people here will remember he's an old Indian, old time Indian player.
Yeah.
He said this guy can bench press anybody off the park, right? But he also said it's not about physicality. The myth is that Indian players are not physically better. I will add
Yeah.
on to Abresh Mina's point. She's made two very valid points. I will add on. They are not active when they are on the ball, right? The amount of activity, the amount of actions Vietnam were taking per minute, per second were much higher than what India did, right? When you have the ball, you have to think of the next step and you have to do it immediately, right? If you are doing it at the time of receiving the ball, you are already one step behind, right? And then in your confusion, the ball gets snatched away from you. Similarly, we can't push them aside because we are not active, right? We are not quick to the press. The second goal today came, the throw in came. Sunil was not first. Sunil was not quick enough on the press, and a big long aerial ball. Anwar gets his signals mixed up, and bang, it ends in a goal. But that first press goes in, right? The player doesn't have so much time to launch the ball over. Like this is just what I just had to add to the
Got
PowerPoint.
it. Got it. So, guys, we've spoken about the problems. Like, we always speak about the problem because these problems haven't changed. It's the same freaking problem that we've been seeing over the years. But now, things are not changing on the ground level, right? Because ISL will continue the way it is, especially at least for the next 1 year. Then these players will continue to play the way they are playing in the ISL, get the same number of game time, and so on and so forth. But if this is to continue, where is the change that we are seeing now building up to the Asian Cup? What needs to change?
You need to play to your strengths, first of all. And secondly, we need to ask, when is the Asian Cup coming? Is it going to come at the end of our season, or
Okay.
the in the between the 6 month gap of the season? Everything we have to look into
Yeah.
also. But fundamentally, we need to play to our strengths. Look, if it's not beyond the realm of imagination that you
True.
can get into the knockout. And what they have said, when Stimac was given the new contract, is that he has to get into the knockout. So there is pressure on everybody. It's clear. So essentially, there is two things clear here. One, if Stimac gets into the knockout, he probably gets another contract. If he doesn't get into the knockout, AFF has already figured a way out.
Yeah.
This is the end of the cycle. So, in the short term, you need to play to your strengths, and you need to find how can you not add players in form is the question. Changte, so many people asking about Changte. Absolutely, he is in great form. Why would he not get a look in as a starter who's going to make a big difference? Like this, these are friendlies, right? This is a time for you to try all these guys. And you've gone with the same old, like Changte or Danta to me was a no-brainer in the situation like what is happening right now. Then Brandon, he's a great ball player. If you want to keep possession, you need to have Brandon. Thapa
Yeah,
alone cannot do it.
yeah.
Thapa is
But
very
see,
good,
today
but
Thapa
Brandon,
looked out of sorts. Today
Yeah.
Thapa looked out of sorts, right?
I
yeah,
think that's also been because I think it's been a couple of years that it's been very start stop for
Yeah.
Anirudh on the whole. Thapa ke liye, on the whole it's been such start stop for him that it's very
Hmm.
difficult for him to get into that. So he needs somebody along with him
Hmm.
who can help him achieve that level. He can't do it alone like Sandeep mentioned.
But
So
but this isn't the first time. Thapa's pulled this sort of performance in the national team, right?
Yeah,
And someone made a very valid point saying keeping the ball is far easier in ISL, right?
yeah,
So we are just going by those metrics, right? And we had a talk with Ravi, right?
yeah,
The last time, me and
Hmm.
Sandeep, right? He said, I'm just taking another example. He said playing the ACL is equivalent to playing two ISL matches. So they played the equivalent of 12 ISL matches in 15 days, which was nuts, right? So I mean, the intensity at ISL level looks really good, right? I mean, all 18 camera setup and all of this, very nice, right? But when you get there, the pace of play, and Vietnam pulled some mesmeric moves as
Yeah,
early as
true.
the seventh minute. They were playing the rondo in and around the box, right? And
Oh yeah.
India couldn't get close. Like, that's how good it was, right? And sorry, Prince has a very valid point. I think we've discussed it before, but I think this is a very big question mark for me personally going into the Asian Cup, because two of the three goals came from
Yeah.
the mistakes, and there were other goals. There were sloppy
But
passes.
anybody can clear the ball, no?
Yeah,
But
that's my point. That's my point to Stimac also. Anybody can clear the ball. That's my
See,
point to Stimac also.
and I genuinely feel that the selections, to be very honest, are not in accordance with what he says he wants to play like.
true.
You have players actually, be it I League or ISL. If you look through the
Who
two
can play with
competitions,
the ball?
yes, you can play with the ball, but you choose not to select them, or you choose to keep them on the bench and just choose to start with the players that who are set in your head basically. So if you are so stringent with it, and if you're not willing to challenge yourself as well in that sense, then you're not going to get anywhere, because then your vision is very blocked.
But my
And
my
let's be
thing.
fair also, right?
Okay.
Jackson is not going to give you possession. Jackson will hunt the ball and give it to somebody who can keep possession. That is his role. Something that Ivan has done fantastically last year is identify who can hold the ball, who can't hold the ball. And the whole point was get the ball to Luna and then the two strikers. And it worked brilliantly for them. You need to figure out a similar situation in India. Who can hold the ball, who cannot. Find the ball, pass
Yeah.
it to Brandon,
Now,
pass it to Thapa, somebody.
now you have Akash, Anwar, and Roshan defense. I'm saying keep it. Find the fourth person who can keep the ball. Right? What happened today was we couldn't keep the ball. We couldn't keep the ball, and there were other sloppy passes immediately after the third goal. Immediately after the third goal, there was a moment where we again gave her the ball sloppily, and they could have ended up in a goal, but it didn't. We are only not talking about all of this because it's only 3-0. If it was 6-0, we would have minutely dissected every minute of this match.
Yeah,
We
like
could have.
I like comments like what Ashu just says. Like, guys, please keep that coming in because it keeps the
Number
humor level
crickets,
up at least, because that's the
bana.
only thing remaining in Indian football right now. But I just wanted to say one more thing before we move on to the next topic. Abhi, now we'll have the ISL, we'll have the I League sometime later in the year. We'll have a performance or two of
This
a player.
October end, I really.
Yeah, we'll have one or two players stand out. Probably might get called to the national team, but then there is no continuity per se, right? Because you're just seeing the same players. Like even today, your Sandesh is your first choice centre back. You have a Sana Singh, who I don't know when was the last time he had a really good season where you can like where you could just go back and say, okay, this chap is dependable. I can bank on him as a defender. I don't
See,
know when was the last
Indian
time it
Sun,
happened.
football as a
Sun.
whole has a second season syndrome.
Yeah,
No, I disagree. Sana got into the national team based on his performance in a season where he was continuously covered by a defender that has now come back to the ISL. His name is Ode One India. Without Ode One India, I
like his
doubt.
name has India in it.
Yeah, without Ode only India saving. That's what everybody just looks at the bigger highlights, right? Look at the matches closely. Ode bailed him out on hundreds of occasions, and this is the problem with the spine of anyone playing in the spine of ISL teams, right? We're so used to the foreigners bailing us out that we have no idea how to bail ourselves out,
Right.
right? It's not a second sim syndrome. Trust me, Sandeep.
No, I'm
Ask
not
any.
talking about Sana. Generally
Huh,
speaking, India, we
huh,
can't have long-term plans because the very
huh.
first year you do well, the very next season you go and do really badly. and then you might have an up and you might have a down. I saw someone talking about Farooq Chowdhury having a renaissance this season. How long
Yes.
are we going to do the same? If he has, amazing. He deserves it. It's a good guy. When you speak to him, he's a nice man. You wish him all the best. But we can't keep saying youngsters at 25, 26, 27.
No, no,
Like,
no, no.
enough,
No,
man. Like, if he
Like
does well,
25,
yes.
26 youngster, even I
That's
am an youngster.
that's almost peak for footballers. Yeah, that's
But
not young.
Harley, on the other hand, everybody wrote him off, but he had a great start to last season and got injured, I think. So, when you have such stories, Len Dungal came back to the national team, right?
Yeah.
Much later. If you have performances like that, fine. But just don't keep building up saying that, oh, this year is going to be great because 10 years ago he played well. That it still goes. I'm not even going kidding. The players
yeah, yeah,
who
yeah, yeah.
actually did 6, 7 years ago and are still
Hmm.
getting big
Yeah.
contracts.
Like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
are
And
our legacy
then you
players.
say that Vietnam players are not getting that much money, I would think, as
No,
far as
they're
the
not.
West.
Okay.
You have hit the nail on the head. This is down to the clubs. This is down to the clubs not scouting, people who can keep the ball, right? Or people who should be picked on performance merit,
Yeah, like,
right?
keep the ball, not keep the ball. Let's just leave it to the club, the way the club wants to play.
Yeah,
But at
yeah.
least pick players who perform, like based on their performance, based on merit, rather than something that they would have done some
It's
like
only
3 or
maybe
4 years ago.
it's only maybe 2 or 3 clubs, right, who are scouting, let's say, for a player for more than a period of 2 years. When you have a consistent performance of 3 years, that is when for me you are a good player, and that is when I think I would go in for you with that big money contract. I would
True.
not do that on the basis of you playing, you know 10 matches, and out of 10 matches maybe you perform well in 6 matches.
Right?
That is not something, that's not something I would ever do.
Like year in a season, you tops play what, 18 matches, 20 matches?
18
Not,
match,
yeah,
yeah,
21.
yeah,
yeah, not more
yeah.
than that.
And if
Like,
you're in this, if you're on the spine of an ISL team, even lesser, even
yeah.
lesser. Yeah.
True. Like Trevor Pereira says, like how often have we spoken about broken systems? Trevor, like the problem
This
is
is
the
our
team is not
career.
giving us anything else to talk about.
This is our whole career.
Yeah, we're doing this like from the day we started.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Something about the formation. Does anyone want to do that? Like Kumar Reddy is asking. I think a 3-5-2 formation easy.
I mean,
But
I don't care about formation and all. I
you
think
need just play football, dude. Rather
Yeah.
than like
no. I mean,
watch.
I think we put as fans we put so much emphasis on formations. This is back three, back four, but in back four also sometimes you end up in a back three. Sometimes a back five becomes a back four. Like extremely sophisticated teams in Premier League cannot play multiple systems within the same in attack and
Right.
defense and transition. India,
True.
we don't need to do all that, but just hold the line. Today we saw a photo. I don't remember if you saw a photo of the back line we had,
Oh yeah.
and
Roaming
yeah,
around in the garden. Okay, you're on mute, Orko.
I'm saying someone pull up the photo.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Uh, until then, there's this question that if someone wants to answer, who after Chetri is something that we have often spoken about, and I do not agree. Like, why are we looking at someone after Chetri? Let's look at someone with Chetri first.
And there is again one part of this I heavily disagree with. Anyway, forget.
I mean I am going to support Isham Bandira because I think I will get him as a
You're lovely.
base of this injury time podcast because he only scores in the injury time.
Looking at marketing tactics, I see.
Love that,
Thank
Sandeep.
thank
Love
you.
that.
उसका सेट है उसको क्या करने का जिंदगी में पता है
Then
doesn't
then
दुनिया
then
गई
one day
बाद में
there's one day the Sandeep will come and say, "Oh, I'm writing Pandita's autobiography."
okay
by
this
the
this
Yeah,
this is
by
the
yeah.
image I
mistake.
think everyone's talking about
But
what
yeah,
what is actually our
थोड़ा
difference today
थोड़ा ये करो, थोड़ा ये.
I mean, look at the guy with the ball, right? Who has the ball? Nobody next to him in a 10-meter radius. Everybody else is waiting to see what is the next move.
that's
ball
us
ball watching bhi nahi. I think some RRR is running on some screen there. Like they're watching it. They're watching it.
cool that's about the Indian national team guys but there are Oman Trevor yes they won against Oman 3-1 any inputs on them did anyone happen to watch the match because there was no telecast क्या inputs थे
My cross question to Trevor Pereira: are they an under 17 team? Any inputs on that? Like, are they really an under 17 team? Any inputs?
All right, that's about that. But next one is probably what we often tend to see in Indian football. Shiv Shakti Narayan has played a handful of matches. Okay, he's come on from the bench,
Durant Cup.
scored a goal.
Durant Cup.
Whatever it may be, like he's come on,
No, I
scored here
spoke for
and
the
there,
team.
but that is
Uh,
not
I'll,
that is not substantial, right?
no, we will put an interview out
Hmm.
yeah,
soon because I had
yeah,
a interaction with him. See,
yeah.
he has a level head. He
Hmm.
Yeah,
he realizes that
definitely.
he has done only certain things and he has to. His whole plan is he knows now that he'll get 10-15 minutes in the ISL. He
Okay.
knows now that he'll get 15 minutes. And he's already decided that if I don't score in that 15 minutes, I'm not going to get a chance.
Very smart boy.
He's very
Very
aware of
smart.
it.
Very
He
smart boy.
knew 10 minutes was all he had in Durand Cup, and every
Hmm.
single time he was given an opportunity, he has done it at that
Hmm.
level.
Hmm.
Can he do it to the next level? And it's
Hmm.
not just 1 or 2 matches. Can he do it, say, for 10 matches in a row, get 5 goals or 4 goals or something, or
Hmm.
make a significant enough impact when he's on the field? Then we can talk about it because now I think it's quite early. I mean, look, Ishan scored 5 goals, I think, one season, got into the national
Yeah.
team.
Right.
So I think it's fair enough to say that if Shivashakti manages to get a decent amount of goals, he will get a look in sooner or later.
To be fair, Ishan was in a team that created bucket loads of chances. That used to create a bucket load of chances. It was
Fair
very
enough.
difficult.
He
It was
scored.
very
That,
difficult to. It was very difficult to miss those tap-ins. Let me be very honest. Let me be very
some
honest.
that header and all are good
Yeah,
finishing.
yeah. Okay. No. The boy's good. The boy's good from set piece. The
His
boy has
finishing
it.
is good.
His
Everything
finishing is
else we
good.
can talk about him.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's finishing good, right?
Like
Now,
everything else came out in that ACL campaign, right? Where he was
uh,
the only lone striker, couldn't do jack shit.
uh,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's going to come
that's
to
the
that.
thing. Only we
Yeah.
said finishing
yeah,
is good. Everything else is not there yet.
No, only when you test him at that level will you really know,
Yeah.
right?
correct.
So I'll tell you what, we have a habit of, of really jumping the gun on a lot of players, right?
We do that on everything.
Yeah, no, yeah, as a country, probably we do that on
Yeah.
everything, right? No. So let me come back to football. I'm giving you one example. So one of my friends texted me. He said, "Oh, this guy scored 4 goals in the final of the SAF Under 20 Cup." Right? I stepped back. I took a step back. Then I thought
No, we're
most
still
of the
talking about Shiv Shakti.
no, it wasn't in one
Okay.
side. It's Gurkirat,
Okay.
right? Gurkirat played how many? Question number one: how many minutes did Gurkirat get in the ISL?
Hmm.
Right? This is Des Buckingham, somebody who's coming on the podcast and somebody who we can say has a very good head on his shoulders, right? Des Buckingham. How many minutes did he get in the ISL? Number one, okay? And a lot of the players in the under 20, I'm very sorry to bring this up again, probably are not under 20. They're probably,
Yeah.
why I'm making this point is they're probably 22, 23. Aliston Colasso at the same time is scoring 7 goals in the ISL, right? Right? So, so what is the bigger achievement? Is it scoring 4 goals in the kiddie league, or is it doing it consistently over a season in the ISL? This is a question we have to ask ourselves when we jump the gun on some players. I like the boy Shivasakti. I think he has, but let's wait 2 seasons.
Yeah.
If he's only going to play 18 into 10 minutes this season, 180 minutes, let's wait. Let's wait till he gets to the 500-minute mark in the ISL. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but I don't think many will wait because if in that 180 minutes he ends up scoring say 5 or 6 goals, he might like Sandeep said he might get a look in, and then
Yeah,
probably
because
from
we
there
don't
on,
have strikers, so you will quickly
See,
get a win.
See,
yeah,
I feel getting a look in is not a problem. You can't see him as a one-stop solution. I am
ऐसा तो कोई
saying
है ही नहीं.
if he, of course, if he gets, a few minutes, and consistently keeps getting that, even in the national team. I'm not saying start him or something, but maybe use him as a sub, give him consistent minutes and actually maybe help him develop his position over there, and then you decide. If he does well, he does well. If he doesn't, he doesn't. So I get the point of trying to bring him in, but
Mhm.
it can't be like a solo thing and that just start hi kar do. You can't go
Yeah.
on like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
well,
last thing I wanted to say about him, people may not notice this about him. He is not a very tall, well-built guy. He's quite slight. So
yep,
when he's playing in Durand Cup, Roy Krishna is going and putting his body in front of the defenders, trying to
yep.
get the headers in. He is running. So that's his game. So you need to play to his strength also. In India, I don't know who's going to put their body against, say, a defender from Uzbekistan or something.
You know who used to do
No
it?
one.
JJ Lalpekloa used to do it,
JJ
and
used to do it.
Sunil used to run onto. is
Yeah.
exactly what used to happen.
All right. I think on that note, we should move on. Joshua sometime back asked us about the leagues committee meeting that happened, chaired
Hmm.
by Tete Amar, finally coming in,
Finally,
finally taking over the role that he should be taking. He should have taken over a long time ago, but better late than never. Sandeep, you had some inputs on that. Could you just tell us what actually happened? How is the new season looking like for, say, the I League, the second division, and even the youth leagues for that matter?
yeah. So I think his suggestion now, look, now it's a suggestion. Executive committee has to approve it, which I
Yeah,
think they should.
yeah.
One of the main things they said is no foreigners in second division league. That is I League Two. That is a
Yeah.
suggestion. Much welcome. And they've even suggested that further down in the state leagues also don't have foreigners. It's a suggestion as far as I can understand at the moment.
Okay.
May not be like a come to
A
fruition there.
lot, a lot of backlash. A lot of people will
Lot
have
of
backlash.
backlash. Yeah,
A lot of
for
backlash.
sure.
Yes.
Then
No,
they want to have the second division league with 15 teams, and only the final one in home and away basis. The rest of them will be
So a
like
question
in
is,
zone.
when you talk about second division, you're talking about the I League.
I League Two.
So
I
that
like
is
two.
so ideally the third league, third division of the country.
Yeah, the name is second division league. That's why he
Okay,
told.
okay, cool.
We don't have a pyramid, so we can't say that.
Yeah,
We are
exactly.
assuming one.
We are
So
assuming
he,
one.
so
Just
that
imagine
is
in the
the
head. Yeah.
that one I really liked. Let's see what happens. Then Kenkere's appeal against relegation. This happens
Like
all
every
the
year.
time,
This
Every
and
happens
year.
it's
every.
sympathetic.
It's become a joke. It's relegation become a joke. Like, I mean, sorry.
And also, they
Full
got into
sympathy.
it there at the last minute because Chennai
I
pulled out,
I
etc., etc. There are
I feel
reasons.
for them. Then, but you should just announce it at the start of the season. Then,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't
But
कोई
don't
this
make a
relegate
mock.
करना है.
like
Don't
we
make a
have
mockery
made a
of
mockery of
relegation.
this whole thing
Yeah.
because initially we were like, this is great because Aizol went on
Yeah.
to win, and subsequently it's become a joke only. No, but
Yeah.
there is no consequences for any of these things. Then they want IWL across multiple venues. Great.
Good.
You can
Good.
get that done. Very good.
Good. Good.
And they're
Good.
doing away with licensing criteria for in IWL and
ठीक
academy
है.
accreditation criteria for youth league.
Good. Good.
Long time overdue.
Good.
Get this stuff
Good.
done.
Because you
Then
know what? So sorry, I can add something because me and Abreshmin are now kind of in a setup, right? Which is a lower level setup.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of this licensing criteria is insane. Is insane for youth academies, for community clubs like us, which only want to focus on developing players and not, try to do tick box exercises. This is a very welcome move because some of it is insane. Own your own ground, like
Who
what?
has an own ground?
No, at least you know what people do. People show fudgy signatures,
Ah,
fudgy licensing. I'm telling you, is one of the
like
biggest
bloody or ISL
fraud.
clubs don't have own grounds.
The amount of
Mohanbagan and East Bengal
fraud,
don't have own grounds, man.
the amount of fraud that happens, the amount of fraud that happens in licensing, right, is difficult. The amount of fraud that happens is very difficult to explain. Simply,
Okay, I have one more point. Then I think Arko, you should look at Joshua's question.
Yeah.
So the AIF competition committee also recommended that Santosh Trophy be played in 7 group zonal basis,
Okay.
and you have
okay.
12 team final round. So a lot of people are asking how did that happen. So it's a top one
Hmm.
plus the services and railways plus
Hmm.
a couple of the second best teams. So that's how they're
Hmm.
going to make it. And this format will be followed for the age group teams as well. And senior women's national football championship.
But have we spoken about what will be the relevance about competition like Santosh Trophy now going ahead? Because over the past few years, we've seen it kind of lose its
So the
relevance.
point is you have to make it
Game
important.
time,
Ah,
game
Yeah.
time is important. Game time important. What I would suggest is that you probably try and make the regional round, which is a more cost effective round,
right.
a double leg or a triple leg, right? Do something like that so that it gains relevance. That I get your question, but game time you have to take and understand. Santosh Trophy has no ISL or I
None of the
League level
players.
players,
Yeah.
which
So
is also
none of
something
the contracted players play
which is
basically.
also something I don't understand because probably the reserves of these teams would really benefit from the
Yeah.
added game time, even though it's like 5 matches, 6 matches. But I feel I feel the Santosh Trophy still has a relevance because it's state pride. People might actually try and send teams, right? So try and probably increase the engagement on that one,
Okay.
not limited to 5 matches. Is my point.
And look, it's your duty to make the tournaments more popular. You went to
Yeah,
Kerala, you saw what
yeah,
happened to
Yeah.
Santosh Trophy. And I was in Guwahati and I was in Imphal. when the Durand Cup was happening. Nobody in Guwahati cared.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody in Imphal cared.
yeah,
There
yeah.
were people waiting outside, couldn't get into the stadiums. Guwahati, I asked the guy, I mean, I was very close to the stadium itself. And they were like, ah, koi nahi hai, sir. EPL dekhte hai. The first thing I saw when I walked in was an Argentina photo. I said, which team do you support here? No, only Messi, he said. So that's
No
Wait,
teams.
yeah, because you go to Kolkata, you might get some amount of crowd. If the Kolkata
Yeah.
teams do well, you'll get a lot of crowd. You go to other places where there is a strong football culture, show it on TV 1 or 2 years, saying, look, this is a big tournament, then move it to other places.
we are trying to popularize football by putting Instagram reels. Sorry, this is the wrong way
Oh,
to
excuse me.
promote.
I also put reels. Okay.
Okay, you
Yeah.
support reels.
Or you
Okay,
don't put enough social media, which is why we are where we are. These are the two things we have to take.
That's
I'm,
another side altogether.
I'm sorry. Who are the people who come to watch football? Let's take a step back. Let's think about who are the type of people who come to watch football on weekdays. Let's take a step back. Let's think about it.
Are you going to answer or are you asking
No,
us?
I'm not going to answer. I'm going to let
Oh,
you
he's
open-ended.
asking. He's just
Oh,
asking to
I'm,
take a
put
I'm,
step
this
back.
as
yeah, I'm going
a
to ask you a
poll or
question.
something in our Twitter handle. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
On weekdays, so the ask the question on weekdays, if you have matches at odd times, right? Who are likely to come? The answer: school, college. School, college, retired people. People who don't have any activity during that time.
All right.
School, college,
So,
retired people.
so that about the committee meeting. Anything more, Sandeep, or is that all that we
No, I
have?
think this is just about the important. And they also said he changed the rule from in the I League foreigners from 5 plus. It doesn't make any difference because
Yeah.
there's the
No,
same
it
number of
doesn't.
people on the field. One more
Yeah.
will sit on the bench. It's okay, no problem.
All right, so that's what these are the recommendations made by the committee. Now we'll have to see, wait and watch how many of these recommendations actually get implemented. So time will tell us an answer to that question. But Joshua has a question for Sangam Vihar, guys. Guys, do you want to answer this?
No. I'm just focused on this season. Honestly, that's it.
Okay,
Nothing else.
there's a few more games to go for you, right?
We have five more. So we have at least three more futsal matches.
All right,
We're also playing in the Delhi Women's Futsal League. So there are
Yeah.
three group stage matches. If we make it, probably semi-finals, finals, whatever.
all right.
And we have five matches. Hopefully nobody else gives a walkover. Hopefully we get to play the single digit matches that we get to play in a season, and we call it a league. Oh, it's a
Okay,
league is happening. Yeah.
and
Like, I
all this is
mean,
in a span of 2 weeks, if I'm
yeah,
not wrong.
yeah. I mean, imagine dressing up a tournament as a league, right? You get the bridesmaid and say you're the bride. I mean, I mean, like it's ridiculous. Like it's
All right, that about the Delhi Football League. Answering Sujal's question, what happened to JJ? I think JJ retired, right?
He got married recently, I think.
not on paper, not on paper, but
I thought he got retired.
no,
Like the
not on
AFF is writing codes copywriting former India international. I thought okay, retired.
No,
former
that is
prob-
correct because he is a former India international.
former India international. No,
Like
he's probably moved away from active national duty
okay,
or something. But the point is, I think a lot of people are like JJ Robin was also in that limbo.
yeah,
A lot of ISL players, when they lose their ISL contracts,
Mhm.
when they lose a 60, 50 lakh, 1 crore contracts, they are like, should I go play in the second division or not? So I'm presuming that's the same thing, because if I was a second division team, I would still pick a JJ because he brings something to the dressing room, right?
True.
That no other second division team
All right,
can have.
Look, they
Yeah,
signed one of the BDFA teams. Have signed Robin Singh.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
But
I'm pretty sure JJ can offer a lot as well.
but I also heard Robin got an offer from second division
Could have, yeah. I
team.
mean,
Yeah,
I'm not saying. I'm just giving example that there is a
yeah.
position available. If you want to go and play, there
Uh,
are clubs available. You might have to go down the division a little bit. And imagine how much JJ can bring.
JJ
Like
can bring a lot to a team. Yeah, yeah. JJ can bring a lot.
like the character that he has.
Yeah,
That
I want to
itself
also.
is a huge thing.
Yeah.
All right. There are two more questions that I think we should answer. The first one is Akash Naik. Does anyone want to take this one because it's a pretty straightforward thing because we
Because
can't
they
go
don't
about
play for our
stopping it.
national teams.
Yeah.
Honestly, some ISL clubs have thought about it. Um, I'm not sure about the quality of these players. I'd be very careful. I'd be very careful before assuming anything. There
See,
are
there
so
is
many.
two things here. One, agents will
Yeah,
throw players at you saying they are
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And if you
I think
don't
that's
go,
what
you
that
will
largely
lose.
happens in India. Like people just go by the
No.
agent's word.
Huh.
You it is one thing to say that this foreigner is great and you've never seen. It's another thing to say that this is an Indian playing in this division. He can come in, naturalize, blah, 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 whatever. But the whole point is that kind of an attitude. It happens in India. From Northeast only, they'll come and say he is great, and you won't know what kind of player he is
Yeah.
if you
Mm-hmm.
don't scout.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how obviously that will happen much more if
No,
the
no,
player is playing
no.
somewhere where you
Just
don't know.
taking a player blindly. This is just taking a player blindly.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you don't have at least, I would say for me, I mean, I would need 10 matches footage at least,
True.
right? I would not take a player blindly based on
It
reputation.
is a very
Gamble.
very it's a market that is actually like pretty like dangerous, not exactly the word, but you don't know what is what in that
Like
market.
it's a pretty uncertain place. Like you don't know what you'll get.
Uncertain, yeah, uncertain.
True. Okay, that about that question. Trevor has an unpopular opinion. Like guys, you can have your say. You need to
No,
focus
I
on
mean
development.
we agree with it.
I
We
am.
agree.
It's correct only. It's
100%.
a
We
very
That's
100%
popular
agree.
opinion in this
We
podcast.
said this when Sandeep said why are people
your
coming to watch match in Infal? I mean we've said it time and again.
popular opinion at
Your
Injury.
popular opinion, yeah. Your popular opinion. Yeah.
All right, that's about it. I think.
Joshua, no. I'll take Joshua's question.
किधर है मेरे को दिख नहीं रहा है. Okay, हाँ, women's
Is
agenda.
this
Half women.
Is SAF
yeah.
women's an agenda today?
There also I saw a lot of BS floating around, right? Saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is not our first team." Sorry, or
What is our first?
most of our matches, 9 out of 11 who were playing were part of the AFC Asian Cup squad. Let's just bust the myths, right? I've seen a lot of journals also going defending it, saying this is not our first team. If we can't play without a Bala, then how is this a national team, right? That's a single player, right?
Yeah,
And Bala's not been playing for a long time. I think it's been more than a year, right?
yeah.
What we
But
saw,
she was not there for the Asian Cup.
yeah, if we think, and honestly, Abrish Mina can back me up, okay, and this is not me being, condescending or anything. If you think the Indian men take bad decisions, the Indian women probably are taking worse decisions, right? And there again, if you think Indian men are being picked on, what do you say, uh, reputation or anything, Indian women are probably just picked on who can run 90 minutes because honestly, some of the decisions are atrocious. And by the way, Indian men's league, we're saying Indian women's leagues are on in a lot of states,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of these people have been playing also, right? So I'll hand it over to Abrishman. I just wanted to bust these myths.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, anybody who saw the matches, I mean, we have had, honestly, we've had tight matches with Bangladesh, Nepal before as well, right? We have somehow squeezed out of those situations, to be very honest. And this time around, we just could not squeeze ourselves out of it because those countries are constantly improving, especially Bangladesh. We've known it for a very long time, and it was no surprise whatever happened at SAF in that sense. We are slow. That's like one term to describe how this team is. We think that we are very adept on the wings and everything, but we don't actually know how to utilize the wings in its best form. We just think that running up the pitch, straight up the pitch with the ball is a great idea when it's not.
Hmm.
Because it's very easy to defend somebody who's just running straight. You have to have brains even when you're running on the wings as to what you're going to do next,
हाँ,
you know. And there
रनिंग
are
रेस चल रहा है रनिंग रेस चल रहा
exactly
है
so and we're very slow when it comes to transitions. We can't transition for hmm,
8
and
सेकंड लगते हैं सोचने में 8 सेकंड लगते हैं सोचने में
the
हाँ,
defensive midfielders who are ahead of
बाप
your defense line, they cannot progress the play, neither can they cover their defenders.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what is going on those positions. Sangeeta Basfor's ACL is like, I feel, a personal opinion, a bigger hit than Bala also missing out on the team, to be
हाँ.
very honest, because that position
We had
is,
one decent player in that position
yes,
हाँ.
and
खत्म है
and it's I don't know
खत्म है
where that position is going. Let's not even
The
get.
bigger question is, has anybody reached out to Sangeeta Basfore saying you're a very valuable player? Are you being taken care of because there are no clubs
Yeah,
working?
I personally don't think so,
Huh.
because she's not a social media player. So
उसको फुटबॉल
Oh,
खेलना था ना, सोशल मीडिया
Abhi
पे
is
सबसे
spitting
बनना पड़ा
fire and
उसको.
all these days.
No, yeah, yeah, because there are people. There are people there. There are people there.
I think
I
just give a Sangeeta Baswar a call and let talk to her. She is a beautiful person to talk to, very very nice to talk to. But she just has to take care of herself, because if she wants to continue playing football, it's not like
man,
anybody is going to really support her. To be very honest.
I want to give an example of a player who's been overlooked by Indian women's football, right? And this is a player we see on a very regular basis. Which way I'm saying, when all of these comments, right? When you guys go to the ground, you guys will understand the problems that we are speaking about, right? Or what we see and what happens in the boardrooms. There's a complete disconnect, right? So coming to the best player probably to come out of Delhi in the last 20 years, right? And I say this, no, I have nothing against anybody else, right? Is a player called Jyoti Ann Barrett, who's one-time Indian international, right? When I see the player, excellent decisions, right? Can probably hold the midfield on her own, like when to pass, when to move, like doesn't is not somebody who's always all action running. No, they know what to do when, right? Has not got a look in, right? And I've always wondered, what does a player with a good decision need to do? Do they need to put 5 reels in a day? What do they need to do? Because I don't understand. Also, one more thing, right? Now with Indian men's football, you have data using Instat, right?
Yeah.
I have a very big question for the women's team. Are you using data to quantify who you're picking? Is there any rationale behind the players you're picking? If so, I would love to hear from it.
Let
I will not make it public. Likewise, I think you're going to say likewise. I would love to hear it.
I am saying I'll answer your question right away. There is no data in place.
There is no rationale in place. Will you go a step ahead and say there is no rationale? Yes.
No,
Okay,
no,
there is no rationale in
there is
place.
no. It's pretty much the same thing that we spoke about the men's team earlier. It's like we have been looking at a few players for the past 2 years, and then we just go on with them, even if they're not up to the performance level that we require to we need to be at.
I'm not going to name the team. Is it an age group? Is it which team is it? But an influencer, I heard this a few days ago, that someone who was an influencer a year ago is playing in an Indian age group squad. I'm honestly I'm not kidding. I'm not going to name the player. I'm not going to name the team. But honestly, and I went and looked, and I was like, holy shit, this is right. This person wasn't playing organized football before a year, right? So I don't know. And when it comes to Prince's question, no, I'm not going to take it only today. Forget.
All right. Like, but there's a question that Sandeep you need to take, because this
Huh.
fellow has been spamming for quite some time. Sandeep Menon,
We
what is
don't
your opinion on
say
Harris?
all this. We have few people who watch. We don't antagonize them also. So yes, N.A. Harris. Look, N.A. Harris moving into. Okay, I'll take this along with Joshua's five Mallus in the
All
top of
right.
AIFF comment. Okay, it looks like this time there was a attempt to sort of make sure that the Kolkata lobby is a little lesser. There was a conceited effort, I would say, to make sure that that lobby strength is gone, because usually it is always the same. From that
Yeah.
Kolkata had a very long, like, strong hold in AFF since a very long time,
Very long.
1960s. That's it. So there was probably an effort in that sense. So probably a lot of these things have come as a effect of that. But you can't say Secretary General, he is a Mallu, but he is in Delhi. He's got nothing to do with Kerala. And then
This
the
is like I'm a Mallu man from Bombay. I have nothing to do with Kerala.
yeah, you don't know. You don't live in Kerala.
You disown him. Now you disown him. Now
Yeah,
you
he
disown
never
him.
owned him. He never owned
Huh.
him.
And
He's
and
not.
and when on Twitter somebody even raises one point, there's a whole legion of people who come and say, "Oh, don't say anything." Like what? Like what?
It's okay.
I've been
So,
seeing what's happening at my doorstep for many years now, and
at the same
they
time, the person Tete Hamar, who's heading the league's great hire. Great
Yeah.
hire. He is the one who should be sitting there only. And then there are others also who are good. There
Tete
are a
Amar,
couple of people who had to leave, who were forced
Tete
to
Amar,
leave.
did he get the post that he deserved? Is
He
my
did not.
question. He
But I
did
don't
not.
think he wanted it also, to
He
be
did
fair.
not want it. He did not
Yeah,
want it. He was
exactly.
smart. He was smart. He was like, if I get into the sty, I'll become a pig. He was
Yeah,
smart.
so he knew where he wanted to go. He probably deserved a higher position, but he didn't take it. Very, very
Hmm.
smartly. I agree with that. So, yeah, and then there are a few others who had to leave, who were pushed out, and with great effort. I have to say that also. But I'm not going to say that everything is gone and become
No,
well.
no.
Now,
No,
There
no,
were
no.
that, so there are two clear factions. I'm not going to go in this to this today. And some of the old faction was saved. Saved is
yeah,
the word. Was saved.
yeah. So now coming to NA Harris, look, NA Harris being there is very good for Karnataka because I am assuming that Karnataka, Bangalore specifically will get some more in tournaments. Like already they have hosted the second division twice. They have hosted thrice actually. They have hosted the women's league also. So hopefully they'll get more matches. Santosh Trophy regional this thing also happened here in
Or
Karnataka
probably
only.
might also go beyond Bangalore and into the other regions of
Yeah,
Karnataka.
so and from a Karnataka football perspective, this one I can say with honesty that the current regiment who's sitting there, they are significantly better than the previous regiment. Significantly means by country miles,
Yeah.
miles,
Simple
not
question.
mile.
Simple question. You're comparing basically newer people to older people at
Yeah,
the,
the Khalil, who
in
was
the
supposed to be
same
there,
state, right? You're not
Khalil
same.
comparing
Bhopal.
uh, in the same state. You're not comparing them to a states that are actually producing
No, no,
players,
no.
right?
Within Karnataka, the
So,
previous regime and this regime is much
हाँ
better.
हाँ
Now you
ठीक है.
can see it. You can go and check the last 2 3 years. Even during COVID, they have conducted all the leagues.
हाँ
They
ठीक
have
है.
two division women's league which is going on right now. If people
हाँ
are free, you can go and watch the games. Women's league is going on. Super division is going on. Every weekend there is a youth league also going on. There is constantly matches happening. Super division has 19 teams or something. A huge number. I forget the exact number, but a large number of teams. One of the longer leagues in as far as the district division is concerned. So there is a lot of good things happening. They have a lot more plans. Inter-district matches have happened. They are planning to do that more. They are trying to improve a lot of other things also. Now I
हाँ
think Satya, who is a secretary here in KSFA, he's done a lot of good things here. He's also part of the AIFF League Committee, if I'm not mistaken. Today I saw his photo and stuff in the thing. So he is trying to try and
I
help out as well. So I think personally that Karnataka football will increase. Now I'm not going to say that the level is going to reach some Manipur or Mizoram or Kerala or Goa, but over the last few years we have also seen them get into the semi-finals of Santosh Trophy also. So hopefully that can keep moving up in that trajectory. Anyway, they're going to try. I don't know how long and what will happen. They're definitely trying. I think it's a
yeah
good thing that NA Harris is there for Karnataka football
ठीक है.
specifically. For I would even guess for South Indian football as a whole.
ठीक है. So my question to you is, right? So you have people from Karnataka and Delhi flooding AFF, and Delhi I know because 10 people have gone into the AFF.
Karnataka only two.
Not only to Delhi, 10 people have gone into the AFF at different committees, by the way. Okay? Now, the question is they've been doing it for years, and I understand the life cycle of producing a player is 15 years, right? You
Hmm.
probably have to start long. Okay? So it's probably not a good idea to compare them now to the established states, right? But the fact currently remains that Karnataka, nor Delhi are in the top 5 player producing states across the country in either men's football or women's football or any football for that matter, even age group football for that matter, right? So you can have this, right? But are there deeper roots? Is it just matches, or other matches is one part of it, but other deeper reasons for this malaise, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, go
I
on.
think specifically coming to Karnataka and Bangalore. So
Hmm.
Bangalore is a very cosmopolitan city with a lot of things for people to do and a relatively rich city also. So when I had this great huge help from Orko and Abby and I went to Imphal, I was able to travel around and see a lot of how the sport works. And the society factor into their sport is massive. Massive. Like on a Sunday when I went there was an under 14 match. People were sitting there drinking tea and watching and cheering them on. And ex-players were there, their friends were there. That huge culture thing is there. In Bangalore, that's not the case. It's there in certain pockets. So probably need to tackle it from a slightly different position. I don't know what that.
Posh, posh, rich kid culture.
Yeah, it's quite rich, and a lot of them go to academies, right? They go to Boca Juniors
But
Academy. So
but
there are academies like Roots, which
there
are
are
really good, and they do a lot of good job. And most
there,
of the young Karnataka players who are playing at any level have come through Roots at some point. Most of them.
listen to me.
Yeah,
Listen to
so
me.
Bappa has done a great job. They have got into the Super Division this year
You
for both
uh,
women and women. They're playing,
uh,
giving chance to the youngsters. So
so
there are
now
people trying out different things.
uh,
Hopefully, it will work. Again, it will take a long time for them to catch up with places that have a very strong football culture already.
I'll give you a little
They're tapped
insight.
into.
I'll give you a little insight into how players are made, right? So privilege privilege always, hampers. What do you say? It's wrong to say the privileged people are not driven. They are, right? But you have to be self-driven in that aspect, right? In football, right? And I've seen this after having a long conversation with Anirban on this, right? Where do football players come from, right? We've seen this. Sorry, I mean taking some time. So I've seen this in the local circuit, right? And I'm talking about one of those academies which charges like 5 lakh. So this is essentially, what do you say, football in a microcosm in the cities, right? The guy is playing up front. He comes to his coach and say, "Coach, I'm moving to a left wing," right? And the coach is his hands are tied. His hands are tied. He Because the kid's paying 5 lakh a year, right? He can't afford to piss off the player or the player's parents. So he's like, "Okay, do it," right? The keeper is saying, "Okay, coach, I'm just going to the washroom in the middle of game." The guy saying, "Okay, do it," right? So you need one, you need coaches with the right mentality. I think coaches need to be even more sharper in places where there's no culture, right? Karnataka, we are saying there's culture. Yes, turf culture is increasing in Bangalore, but is it a fight for your life culture, right? Is it a
See,
fight for
lack
your
of
life
culture, you should
culture?
come to Bombay. Da. There's no culture.
Bombay,
See, it is
Bombay,
not like there is no culture. They're not tapping into it. You come,
Bombay has no football
anybody,
culture.
somebody,
anybody who is free on a weekend, go to the East Ground in Bangalore.
WIFA is the biggest PR agency in Indian football. WIFA is
Who?
the biggest PR agency.
Uh,
The
FIFA, yeah.
WIFA is the
Exactly. The
biggest PR
culture is
agency.
not in the main leagues. Culture is there in the nook and corners of the city. That's where you have to go and see it.
The culture is not in there in the cities. The
yeah,
culture
yeah.
is not there in the
It
cities.
won't be.
let's
It's
be
not in the
let's be
city.
clear, right? There are very few cities pockets. For example, Vyasar Padi of Chennai, right?
Correct.
Where you,
Like,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to talk about Maharashtra, probably you go to Kolhapur. That's where you'll see
Yeah.
like football
Puttur,
culture
again,
per
Tamil
se.
Nadu.
These guys
Yeah,
are making the same mistake again and again, where they're trying to tap into the whole city. Start with
yeah.
one pocket. Start
Correct.
with one pocket, and you'll realize how difficult it is. Because me and Abrishman are working in one pocket, we know how difficult it is. One pocket. We are working in 2 blocks of one pocket, and we're still not mobilized that because football isn't popular.
Yeah,
Face
that's
of facts. Face of facts.
So
That's it.
there is a lot of challenges here. Hopefully
Hmm.
they can figure it out. Because
true.
I walked, my whole interest now is to find where there is. So Independence Day Cup is a
Ah.
five-a-side barefoot football tournament that happens in Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it happens in the East Ground. The final is on Independence Day. 65th year it was this year.
Hmm.
It's a long tournament. All the greats have played. All the great players who came from Karnataka, Ulaganathan, Arumai Nayagam, all the way down to not Noel Wilson, but others also. Carlton Chapman. All these guys played these tournaments, but we don't know anything about it because it's not advertised, and generally most of the places they don't allow fives and sevens.
Yeah.
These associations don't allow it, so they have to play behind, by lying or just keep it under wraps. Now it's even harder because somebody will take a photo and put it out, so these players can't. Earlier they used to say I don't play and then go and play and come back, nobody would know.
Yeah.
So now that doesn't work. But also I wanted to add one more thing. Renedy Singh is doing his academy. So when I
Hmm.
was in Imphal, I was talking to him and he was telling me what he was doing.
It's not his
Some,
academy. It's the class. It's the old Neroka owners
yeah, but
academy. You mean? Yeah.
he's the coach.
He's a TD. He's a TD. He's a
Yeah.
technical director there.
So
Yeah.
he was
It's
telling me that he has
yeah.
players who have 20, 30 kilometers. They come, travel to get to the station. I mean, get to the training ground. And his idea was to find cycles for them so that they can cycle back home instead of
Imagine.
walking and taking a bus. They
Imagine.
cycle back home. They
Yeah.
can save 20, 30 rupees. And he said with that money, they can have some oats, some better food. So that is the level that these guys are operating in places like the Northeast and all, where privilege is at a premium. These guys know they have to succeed.
The girls of Sangam Vihar sometimes travel 10 in one auto. 10 people cramp into one auto because that's the money they can pull in from their homes to travel. They've sometimes walked 12 kilometers for games. Not even fucking kidding. Why go to Manipur? I will show
No, no,
you
I'm just
people
saying
in
because
Kerala.
I saw it there. I'm just saying
Huh,
that you said privilege. No, I was saying look at the
huh,
difficulties that these guys and Manipur
hmm.
produces phenomenal amount of athletes.
Yeah,
Mizoram has great football players. West
yeah,
Bengal, you look at anywhere there
huh,
when there is a challenge, when there is a
huh.
drive to succeed, because that is probably the only option.
They will take the chance with both hands. They will bite your hand off for that chance. We need those people in the ecosystem, privileged or unprivileged. We need those people who are driven to succeed at all costs. Not don't take shortcuts. That's my only
And
point.
people who are there to help them get
Huh,
there, not just to say, okay, we'll do something,
huh,
fine, fine, chalega, we'll put a team out. No, people
huh.
who want to improve the
Hmm.
teams, the players, the ecosystem, whatever it is, we need those kind of people, more and more of those people in this ecosystem, not just for football, for any other thing. Because India is a cricket country, there is a high chance that India will never be a football country or
Yeah.
an all sports country like United States or Russia or
No,
something.
no.
Probably never going to happen. But for those who want to try, they should be allowed to try, and they should be allowed to
Huh.
try honestly.
No, but my question is after the US picks up cricket and they start training seriously in it, and so does China and Germany and all of these, then what country does India become? Because let me be very honest, we support when we win. Very clear.
Well,
What
India.
happens when cricket does become a global sport?
Well, India will
Uh,
be India because we
I
have
mean, I
BC.
think cricket for India will be more or less done because we have too
Kabaddi,
many players playing. So
We'll
too
have
much money.
Kabaddi there.
we have culture. We have
Yes,
culture, right?
yeah, we'll be fine.
Uh,
We'll be up there. I mean, look, England is the one who started all this. They are not winning anything.
Hey,
So
they are crying about
we have this.
marketing, dude.
but England is not spending 95% of their sports budget and CSR on cricket. England's not that country also. Let me be very clear. England's not that country also.
Hey, England has better things to do in life. I think.
Yeah.
England spends that on football and still don't win anything.
England has spent millions on diving and has got gold medals out of it. Even even I won't ask anybody to what do you say, expect any returns out of Indian football at this moment. I won't.
Yeah,
No,
three, four
well,
people had asked me. I think I pushed someone around towards your direction also. I don't know what happened.
One.
Yeah,
It did work out, huh?
yeah. It's
That's
they
nice.
want returns. You can't
yeah.
get returns.
There's no-
It's like
It's
a
like a
black hole, like
bottom,
putting the money into
bottomless
the
well. You
black.
just keep putting it
Yeah.
in.
One return, start a football agency. Just tie up with a ISL team director. Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Sharad Hanif.
No,
I'm
you're
not
right.
going to give any.
No, you're right. You're right. He's right.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to say
cool.
anything about Nilanjan
Politics.
Datta now because what is the point?
Yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah.
Let bygones be bygones.
Don't
Yeah.
flog a dead horse. Don't flog a dead horse. That's the
All
question.
right,
Just
I
to
think
answer Prince's question, and then we can just wrap it up.
yeah,
Just
please.
Nice. Abresh was
I
like, yeah.
he's
no,
been
I was
spamming
just
for quite some time.
no,
Kumar,
no.
please spam mat kar yaar.
Yeah, bola
But
usko
but
ek baar.
but like that short question it is. Will number
Go
of
on, go
matches
on.
increase in the
Hopefully.
this season of IWL? We'd hope so, but I'm not sure. I think there were 12 teams last time around, and they played each other once. So I think we'll have the same number of matches. I don't think we'll have
But
more.
probably with what Sandeep just told earlier in the show, with the new recommendations coming in, if those are put in place,
May
then
not be
yes.
for this season. Could be for next season.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, all right. Cool. I
because
think that's a
abhi
good note.
season
Yeah.
aane wala hai. Like
I
it's
think
going to
that's a
come.
very good note to wrap up today's episode because it's been over an hour. We thought of wrapping up in 45 minutes, which never happens. All right. So, on that note,
Bye.
thanks a lot, guys. Bye bye, because people are hungry. We need to get back, and it's pretty late.
Bye bye.
Good night.